Good evening and welcome to Primetime News, coming to you live and direct from the Newsfirst studios here in Colombo. I'm Bernadine Jack-Singha.
And I'm Charlene Benedict. We've got the latest of news lined up for you from here at home and across the globe. But first, a look at your top stories tonight.
Several more ministerial appointments done today. President assures the UN Secretary General that the Prime Minister was appointed keeping with the constitution of the country. Gotabaya Rajapaksa meets Ranil Wickremesinghe. Speaker says the President has informed to convene Parliament on the 7th of November. Several parties meet in Parliament. UNP says a proposal was submitted against the appointment of the Prime Minister. While new ministers assume duties, several former ministers remain in their respective ministries.
A cabinet minister and a deputy minister were sworn in today.
United National Party parliamentarian S.B. Navina was sworn in as the Minister of Cultural Affairs, Internal Affairs and Regional Development. S. Vyalendran, who is a TNA parliamentarian, was sworn in as the Deputy Minister of Regional Development for the East.
The Lanka Indian Oil Corporation has decided to revise their fuel prices after the government reduced the prices of fuel yesterday.
Issuing a release, Lanka IOC says it has reduced the prices of Lanka Auto Diesel by 11 rupees per litre and Lanka Petrol 92 by 2 rupees per litre. Thereby, a litre of Lanka Auto Diesel will be sold at 118 rupees at IOC filling stations from midnight today, and a litre of Lanka Petrol 92 octane will be sold at 153 rupees.
President Maithripala Sirisena has spoken to UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres over the telephone last evening.
A tweet by the President states that the United Nations Secretary General was informed of the appointment of the new Prime Minister. The head of state has assured the UN Secretary General has made the new appointments keeping with the Constitution of Sri Lanka.
Now, in more news from the political crisis that has engulfed the country, a meeting was held between leader of the United National Party Ranil Wickremesinghe and former Defence Secretary Gotabaya Rajapaksa at Temple Trees last evening.
Issuing a release, media spokesperson of Gotabaya Rajapaksa, Milinda Rajapaksa, said the former Defence Secretary met with Ranil Wickremesinghe representing President and the Prime Minister. The release notes that this was a close discussion between the former Premier and the former Defence Secretary at 4:10 p.m. The release issued by Gotabaya Rajapaksa's faction states that discussions were held about the measures to be taken to avoid any chaotic situations in the country and negative perceptions from the international community that could unexpectedly erupt in the face of the prevailing volatile situation. Rajapaksa has mentioned that the President and the Prime Minister have garnered the confidence and support of a majority in Parliament. Wickremesinghe has in turn expressed that he too was confident of the support of the people to protect the democracy and supremacy of the Parliament, and he is ready to prove it. Meanwhile, a release issued by sources close to Ranil Wickremesinghe stated that he appreciated the exchange of views with the former Defence Secretary Gotabaya Rajapaksa, and they both agreed on the need to avoid violence in the country.
I went on behalf of the President and the Prime Minister to resolve the current issue without further escalating it. We spoke to the security of the Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe and the situation at Temple Trees and how we can resolve this issue in the future without allowing it to slip into further chaos. Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe and the former Defence Secretary discussed on the current crisis in the country. Both of them have agreed that this crisis should be resolved peacefully. Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe has clearly stated that this is an issue that should be solved in Parliament, and thus Parliament should be convened as soon as possible to resolve this issue.
President Maithripala Sirisena arrived at the premises of the Somavati Chaitya this morning, while Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa visited the Kataragam sacred area.
The Jalanimna Harita Arana tree planting program commenced under the patronage of President Maithripala Sirisena in the historic Somavati sacred area. President Sirisena, planting a karanda tree in the premises of the Somavati sacred area, launched this program officially. Then the President visited the Somavati sacred area and engaged in religious observances. Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa visited the Kirivehera Raja Mahaviharaya and later visited the Mahadevale in Kataragama.
Now, while the President and the Prime Minister visited these sites, Ranil Wickremesinghe was at Temple Trees today as well. He met with representatives of civil societies and trade unions.
Ranil Wickremesinghe informed the representatives at the discussions on the current political situation of the country.
All these people should have strengthened Parliament, and the President should have worked with the Parliament and made the person who commands the confidence of the majority in Parliament as the Prime Minister. When this tradition is broken, the supremacy of Parliament is lost. Now we call for Parliament to be summoned immediately. Mahinda Rajapaksa agreed on the 5th, so we agreed on the 5th. What if the GSP is lost? Now, no matter how much they shout, saying that they reduce the price of fuel and other things, the best indicator is the value of the rupee. Nobody likes the IMF. It was only last Friday that we were due to arrive on an initial agreement that we have the money and the support. As they saw this, they stopped it. What is going to happen when we cannot export? We can't go overseas. This government is not recognized. The country is in a state of confusion.
UNP party supporters gathered at Temple Trees today as well.
Here are some views expressed at a media briefing held at the Prime Minister's office today.
Parliamentarian Ranil Wickremesinghe is inside the Temple Trees and has self-imposed house arrest. Former Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe would now be the latest example of a person who is under house arrest by himself. If Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa was able to deliver relief to people before 24 hours of being appointed the Finance Minister, that depicts that the government that was had burdened the people when there was a chance for them to provide relief. The curse was with Wickremesinghe.
Representatives of a number of political parties convened at the parliamentary complex and met with Speaker Karu Jayasuriya today. Now, during this meeting, the United National Party claimed that they had the support of a majority in Parliament.
The United National Party, the JVP, Tamil National Alliance, Sri Lanka Muslim Congress and a number of other parties attended this meeting. The United National Party presented a motion at the start of the meeting.
As the order included in the Gazette dated the 26th of the 10th month 2018 is contradictory to the Constitution and thus null and void in the face of the law, we state that we would not accept the appointment of Mahinda Rajapaksa as the Prime Minister and the subsequent appointments and orders.
MP Patali Champika Ranavaka seconded the motion.
At about 5 p.m. the day before yesterday, the President and I had a cordial conversation for about 1.5 hours. After we presented facts, the President drew his attention towards reconvening Parliament during the course of the next week itself, instead of on the 16th. And then yesterday at about 10:30, he contacted me and said that he will be reconvening Parliament on Wednesday, the 7th of November. But the Gazette has not been issued as yet. There is time until tomorrow. I hope that it will be issued either today or tomorrow. If this happens, we can resolve many issues. If these efforts that I am making to resolve this in the spirit of non-violence fail, I will have to focus my attention on the next steps that can be taken. We have depicted majority. The final decision regarding this should be taken by Parliament. The critical factor would be getting 113. There are 117 in this hall at this moment. Proroguing Parliament. This is a political tool. According to parliamentary traditions, this cannot under any circumstance be used to orchestrate a political conspiracy. So, Honourable Speaker, we have shown our majority today. 115 members of Parliament are here.
We are not interested in individuals or personalities, but the sanctity of the Constitution must be protected and preserved. That's our fundamental duty. And we urge that Parliament be convened early and Parliament be enabled to take a decision in regard to this matter.
We as a party decided to stand against the move taken against democracy by the President. The 6 parliamentarians of the JVP are of one clear stance. The appointment or the removal of the Prime Minister should happen according to the Constitution. That is something that should happen through Parliament. But what has happened is against the Constitution. It is not ethical and it is against democracy. We will, as the JVP, work against this process. Seconding the motion presented by Ajit Pereira, let us all join together and act despite our political differences. There are 118 MPs here. Will you accept the proposal brought forward by Ajit Pereira without a vote?
While some MPs raised their hands and accepted this proposal, some were not seen voicing their approval.
UNP MPs convened several media briefings at the Temple Trees today.
මේ සතිය තුල දැවැන්තම වැදගත්ම ප්‍රවෘත්තිය අද උදෑසනේ පාර්ලිමේන්තුවේ සිදු වුණා.
The meeting, which was held this morning between the Speaker, MPs and party leaders of the UNP, TNA and the JVP, was the most important meeting of this week. 119 MPs unanimously signed the statement and presented it to the Speaker. We requested the Speaker that even without the President issuing a gazette, the Speaker has the power to convene Parliament. And we stated to take this step to establish democracy in the country. This proposal was unanimously approved by 119 MPs.
මේ කටයුත්ත ඉටු කරන්න කියන එක අපි කතානායකතුමාට ප්‍රකාශ කරා.
No, it is with the Speaker. We handed it over to him and this is what we proposed.
කරපු දේ.
We didn't give a letter to the Speaker. We instead signed a name list of 119 MPs who participated at today's meeting.
While the United National Party expressed these views, this was the response from the ruling party.
There is no doubt we have the required majority in Parliament as well as the power of the people. If the President has done anything illegal, this could be taken to the Supreme Court. However, the UNP or anyone else has not made such an attempt. Ranil Wickremesinghe says that this must be tested in Parliament. We are ready to accept this challenge. It is he who must face the test as we already claimed majority in Parliament. The Parliament has accepted the appointments of the Prime Minister as well as other ministers. These appointments can only be dismissed through a no confidence motion.
Janata Vimukti Peramana says that his party supports only the convening of the parliament and not a specific individual. Propaganda Secretary of the JVP, Vijitha Herath, made this announcement.
There is false news saying that the JVP is supporting Ranil Wickremesinghe. The JVP never said that earlier and that will never happen. We are against Ranil Wickremesinghe. Our party voted against him during the no confidence motion vote. Our opinion is that this act is against the constitution, against democracy and against morality. Therefore, we commend this act. We urge the President to change this, and not only that, in order to solve this problem, we ask the President to convene the Parliament.
Now, in a startling revelation, MP Palitharange Bandara, attending a discussion in Parliament, revealed that he was offered money to cross over. The MP said that he will lodge a complaint about this at the Bribery Commission.
MPs are getting invitations to change parties. MPs who were with me heard that they were about to offer $2.8 million to change parties. I am revealing all of this with proof. I can present this case with evidence.
We saw how MPs were offered $3 to $4 million by the leaders of the previous government. A crony of Ranil Wickremesinghe is now offering $3 to $4 million to MPs to change parties. They are using the money they stole from the people of this country and from the central bank.
Dinesh Gangkhanda assumed duties as the State Minister of Environment at the ministry today.
The State Minister made the following remarks.
Only a few ministers in the cabinet is allocated with 70 to 80 jobs for a Grama Seva division. We requested the Prime Minister for support to help improve our areas. However, we were allocated with only 2 job positions. We had to face so many difficulties. I have now reached this position. I have been reborn. Should I take responsibility for the injustice the leaders of the UNP committed? At present, it does not matter whether my political party is green, blue or red. I would even serve the devil if he is willing to help my people. I am not an SLFPer. My roots still belong to the UNP.
Now, while a number of newly appointed ministers assumed duties today, a number of former ministers visited their ministries today. Partly Champika Ranawaka arrived at the Ministry of Megapolis and Western Development at Suharupaya Battaramulla and addressed state officials there. Former Minister of Primary Industries Daya Gamage also visited the ministry at Suharupaya in Battaramulla today and spoke with state officials. Deputy Minister of Ports and Shipping Nishantha Muthuhetty Gamba convened a media briefing in Galle today.
The
UNP government, which had 106 MPs, have now reduced to 100. Another 6 MPs will cross over. Then it will go down to 94. Now we have more than 105, and in another few days around 10 to 15 will join us. We are taking this historic decision to build this country. This is not a political conspiracy, or the country would have been a complete mess if we hadn't toppled the government.
A number of civil societies convened a media briefing at the Jaffna Media Unit today.
The TNA should make a decision on this matter based on certain conditions on the wills of the Tamil people. They must obtain a written promise in this situation. We ask that they obtain a promise with a time frame for them to be implemented in. We have received information that Western powers and the UN are supporting the claim of the United National Party. If this is true, we must obtain a promise from the Western countries and the UN. We had two good opportunities. One was at the presidential election and the other was when the motion of no confidence was presented. In both of these instances, the TNA did not present their stance firmly. These mistakes should not be repeated. A good decision must be taken. This is a good opportunity. Losing this opportunity could be one of the biggest betrayals in the history. Mahinda Rajapaksa is supported by China. Western countries support Ranil Wickremesinghe. The best thing that can be done in this situation is to keep these countries as witnesses and obtain written promises from these parties. The decision that they take should be for the Tamil people. It is not appropriate to take a decision for personal opinions or for the party. We would like to ask you as to if you have ever acted as one group. You have not to date stated that as a responsible parliamentary group, you are going to get together and discuss about this and take action. The opposition leader is speaking with the President and the Prime Minister. We haven't heard that they have, as a group, presented their conditions and discussed about them. We say that they have to work together. Now, the sudden shift in government here in Sri Lanka has caused a state of confusion in the country. A statement was issued today by the Prime Minister's office of Mahinda Rajapaksa to clarify the notice issued by Sagala Ratnayaka yesterday. The notice released under the signature of the Media Secretary of the Prime Minister's office, Rohan Velivita, strongly rejects the statement which was issued by Sagala Ratnayaka yesterday. According to the notice issued by the Prime Minister's Media Division, Sagala Ratnayaka's statement does not have any connection with Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa or his office. The statement claims that the notice issued by Sagala Ratnayaka under the header, quote, Prime Minister's office, unquote, is not legally valid, while a Prime Minister has been appointed by the President and the Prime Minister has appointed a secretary. The statement further says no such person named Sagala Ratnayaka is presently employed at the Prime Minister's office. The statement issued by Sagala Ratnayaka yesterday stated that orders of state employees who received illegal appointments does not consist of any legal substance and that the law will be enforced for such individuals after the current political issues are resolved.
Let's now take a look at some news from the courts.
A request made by Defence Counsel to suspend the case filed against former President's Chief of Staff Gamini Senarath and 3 others at the permanent High Court trial at Bar and move it to the Supreme Court was rejected today. The trial at Bar stressed, as ordered previously, the recording of evidence in the case will begin from the 7th of November and continue daily. The Court of Appeal approved a request made by petitioners to conclude the examination of a petition filed by former Defence Secretary Gotabaya Rajapaksa against the police FCID. The appeal was filed against the investigations taking place, citing that offences that fall under the Public Property Act were committed when constructing the D.A. Rajapaksa Memorial and Museum. The Criminal Investigations Department was today ordered to arrest Chief of Defence Staff Ravi Vijay Gunaratne and produce him in court on or before the 9th of November. Vijay Gunaratne was accused of assisting the main suspect in the abduction and disappearance case of 11 youth, Lieutenant Commander Chandana Prasad Hettiarachi, to abscond court.
Now, in more court-related stories, Isitor Aryaganathan, the second defendant in the case filed over the assassination of former Foreign Minister Lakshman Kadiragama, was acquitted and released today.
Former Minister Kadiragama was assassinated on the night of the 12th of August 2005. Cases were filed against Muttaya Sahadevan and Isitor Aryaganathan under 5 separate charges at the Colombo High Court under the Prevention of Terrorism Act for aiding and abetting. The High Court rejected the confession made by the second defendant since it was not given voluntarily during the special inquiry carried out at the Colombo High Court. When the case was taken up yesterday, the second defendant was acquitted and released. Attorney at law K.V. Tavarasa appeared on behalf of the defendants.
The Sri Lankan rupee has appreciated against the US dollar.
The selling rate of the US dollar stood at 177.32 cents. As of this evening, the Sri Lankan rupee had appreciated and the selling rate of the US dollar stood at 175 rupees and 82 cents.
According to the World Bank, Sri Lanka rose 11 notches in the Ease of Doing Business Index 2019, being ranked 100 among 190 economies.
The World Bank said ongoing reforms are gathering momentum, with their impact yet to be realized and measured by doing business. The World Bank further stated that countries of region have collectively carried out 19 business reforms during the past year, with an average of more than 2 reforms per economy. India, in 77th place in the Doing Business ranking, is the highest ranked economy in South Asia, followed by Bhutan at 81st and Sri Lanka securing the 100th spot. According to the World Bank, reforms such as streamlining process to obtain construction permits, introduction of online tax-paying systems and streamlining registrations of business properties have made the country to move up in Doing Business Index.
In your share of entertainment news this evening, the Symphony Orchestra of Sri Lanka will once again be on stage with their Masterworks concert.
International pianist Julian Clef will be performing at the concert. The Symphony Orchestra will be performing classics of F. Chopin and Beethoven. The concert will be held on the 3rd of November at Ladies College Auditorium.
With that, we wrap up Primetime News. I'm Bernadette Singhal.
And I'm Charlotte Benedict. Of course, to follow details of these stories and more, you can log on to our award-winning website, www.newsfirst.lk. Also, do stay tuned to News First as we keep you updated on the current political situation in Sri Lanka and more. Thank you very much for watching. Good night and God bless.